All right, here's the main theses of Allen's work. If you don't leave here with anything else, try to just hear this, right? 3 prongs. The white race was invented as a ruling class social control formation in response to labor's solidarity as manifested in the latter Civil War stages of Bacon's rebellion, but not only in that struggle. There was a whole period of solidarity, and struggle going on, which I'll talk about. 2, a system of racial privileges was deliberately instituted by the late 17th, early 18th century Anglo-American bourgeoisie in order to define and establish the white race and establish a system of racial oppression. Deliberately instituted, very important, we'll talk about why. 3, the consequence was not only ruinous to the interest of the African Americans, all African Americans, not only those who were enslaved, but but it was also disastrous for European American workers. That last thing about not in the interest of the European American workers is where some people who have talked about this white privilege going all the way back, even to Weatherman and stuff like that, don't get Allen, right? Because Allen's arguing, of course, they get him and they reject him, but that's not what Allen's saying. This is what Allen's saying. And by that he means their own position, the laboring class people, vis-a-vis the rich and powerful, was not improved but was weakened by the white skin privilege system. And we're going to try and document why. So what he's arguing is the white race was a political invention. It is no part of genetic evolution. Next slide. He says more about the white race. He says it must be understood not simply as a social construct, but as a ruling class social control formation. Why does he emphasize ruling class? Because if you just say it's a social construct and you're not clear on who's driving that ship, then you fall back on all the racist arguments, the cultural, it's innate, right? How else do you explain it? Why would we construct such a thing unless it was innate? Unless you can focus on the origin and who's driving it. He says more about the white race. And this is what first attracted me to Allen's work some many years ago, when he spoke at the precursor to the Brecht Forum right here on 14th Street, a place called Alternate U, way back, which is the grandmother of this place. And I was in the crowd like you folks, and I heard him for the first time. But he argues that the white race has served as the principal historic guarantor of ruling class domination of national life in the United States. We in this room particularly, if that's true, we got to deal with that, right? Next slide.